Hey, YouTube friends, I am about to do podcast number 16. I am interviewing Ainsley Micallef, who is in Australia as we speak. Just got off a plane from Mexico, 22-hour journey, I think it was. And this is podcast number 16. You can find this on iTunes. It will air on Thursday, I think it's the 23rd of December. So let's get started. Hey folks, I'm your host Todd Bergen, and you are listening to the Divorce the Workforce podcast. I interview entrepreneurs and online creators about what they do, why they do what they do, and how they go about doing it. Learn about how they got started and why. Hear about what works for them as well as what doesn't, and learn from them as you chart your own course to freedom. And today I have a new friend that I met through Twitter, who's the guest today. She just recently traveled from Mexico to Australia on a 22-hour flight, yet she found the time and the energy to be with us today, so I'm very thankful for that. Her name is Ainsley Micallef. And Ainsley, how you doing today?
I'm good, Todd. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm very excited to have you on the show. As I said before the program, I did a little bit of homework to kind of familiarize myself with the projects that you have going. So, folks, Ainsley is a life mentor and teacher. And one of the things she does is she teaches you how to reinvent yourself and create big, ridiculous life goals. She was a former dating coach at Power of Man, and she's been a teacher and trainer in some regard or another for several years. Ainsley, tell us about your background.
So, wow, big background. I guess, well, with this business, how it started back when I was about 27, so I'm 40 now. And so when I was 27, I was a bit of a lost soul. I was taking a lot of drugs. I had a meth problem. I was pretty much an alcoholic, but I was still managing to keep it together just in a corporate HR job in Sydney. And it kind of, I was masking a lot of my own problems, and I wasn't very self-aware, but I just started this personal development journey because I wanted to figure out who I was, what I wanted in life, and I just wanted to get rid, basically it was getting rid of the pain that I was in. And so I've spent this last 13 years doing different courses on self-awareness, NLP. I've been to Tony Robbins. I've done a lot of online courses on psychology, social psychology, the science of happiness. What else, man? Neuroscience. And I started out, my first business was as a dating coach for men. And so it all came about, I was doing my NLP course, and it just came to my head. And I think the main reason why was because I was going through my own journey in relationships and with my relationship with men. And it all started because I was reading books for guys on how to be better with women, because I just found it more interesting than reading the dating books for women. And so that's how the idea came about for that. So I was taking guys out to bars. I'd take them shopping and help them with their clothing. I'd teach them communication skills and confidence. And it sort of evolved into that. But then I went more, I was doing that, but I went into studying, training and assessment. And so I learned how to write courses properly and really help people at a deeper level. And so I started running bullying or anti-bullying programs for parents, which is a total contrast to the date coaching. But I have put a lot of fingers in a lot of pies because I just love that stuff. I love personal development, but to me the whole term personal development's a bit too flimsy, I guess. It doesn't carry a lot of meaning, and I wanted to get into the science and psychology behind it and really understand what what exactly that means. Like, it's not just reading a self-help book. And so then I actually got a job offer or a contracting offer to teach job skills and confidence to people that had just come out of prison, women who suffered like from domestic violence. Who else was there? Like former drug dealers, methadone addicts, people that were really, they wanted to do something for themselves, but they didn't know what. And so I was contracted to run courses for these guys to help them with their mindset more than anything. Like, it was part of a job skills course, and I loved it. I loved seeing the transformations that, these guys had never really experienced anything like that before. And I was in the same boat. I was that person who, a meth head, walked into an NLP seminar one day, and yeah, that was that. It was like, holy crap, there's a whole other world. And then what happened? So after that, I moved to Perth and did corporate training for a while, so professional development. And so just all through that experience, I was able to really improve my repertoire from both a teaching standpoint, learning from my own experiences, and then also from a science and human behavior standpoint as well. And then I set up in 2013 the Single Chicks Toolkit, which was about dating and this kind of thing that I'm doing now. And then I decided to help guys again as well. And I took on too much. So I was doing all of these different courses all at once, and I just burnt out. And I was making a lot of money, but I had no time to do anything else. And so I got to a point where I just had to pick one thing. I just had to stop being so all over the place and pick one thing. Now, the decision to do that broke my business. So I decided to do business coaching because it just seemed like the thing to do at the time. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in that industry doing that, and it didn't work. Like, for 6 months, I sat there and everything I did failed, everything. And so I went to date coaching, went back to the date coaching for men, and did really, really well with that. And then Facebook shut down my ads account, and so I couldn't advertise. So the ads that were making me $12,000 a month were not working. And so I just went into this state. No matter how much I tried, no matter what I tried to do again, I just couldn't sell anything, and it just wasn't working. And I wasn't in alignment with that anymore anyway, because I wasn't dating. Like, I'd been in a relationship that whole time that I was doing that, and engaged to be married, and then things happened, and so I'd started traveling, and I just wasn't aligned with it anymore. And so that's when Adventure Fest happened. I got to the point where I just thought, you know what, I want to do something that's me, like that's core level, something that just reflects who I am. And so Adventure Fest came about from, traveling and helping people using like personal growth and reinvention, but also creating the kind of life they want. So if they want to travel and make money online, or if they want to live in the country on an organic farm, or whatever their big ridiculous dream is, I help them create that, because I've, after a lot of adversity, created that for myself.
So how long have you been doing Adventure Fest?
Adventure Fest I started a year ago.
Okay, and how's that going so far?
Really good. So this time I decided to slow things down and really take my time with the foundational stuff, because a lot of the mistakes I'd made in the past I refused to do again. And so, yeah, so it's doing really well. I'm getting a lot of people coming to me. I'm finding different ways, different methods that are working for me a lot better. And so, yeah, it's great. Like, I can see that it's really evolving.
So what do you do? I mean, I actually have read about Adventure Fest on your website, so I'm pretty familiar with it, but listeners might not be. So tell us about what Adventure Fest is, and what do people do if they decide to participate in Adventure Fest?
So a lot of people are stuck in their lives. Whether they've come out of a relationship and they're looking for a reinvention, or they're just in, and I help specifically, I mean, I don't turn anyone away, but I I target specifically 30 and 40 somethings who are single, don't have kids. They've been working because that's what they think they're meant to be doing. They've got bigger ideas. They're free spirits by nature. And they just feel stuck and lost in themselves. They're having a bit of an identity crisis and want some kind of change that'll set them free so they're happy and living exactly how they want.
Now, when they participate in Adventure Fest, it looks to me like they go somewhere on a journey for, say, 3 weeks.
Yep.
Is that correct?
So I do a combination. I do online courses so I can reach everybody, but then I also run tours as well. So the tours are like 21 days Guatemala and Mexico, 14 days in Costa Rica, Thailand, 14 days in Thailand. Different locations around the world. And those tours also incorporate workshops in them.
Now, you started this a year ago, so have you already done a tour?
I haven't done the tours yet. No, I've just been working on the smaller stuff.
Okay. Now, you just got back from Mexico. Was that part of preparing to do tours, or were you just traveling on your own?
I've lived there for 2 years. I went traveling the beginning of last year for some inspiration, and I went to a place called Playa del Carmen in Mexico, and I fell in love with it. So I stayed there for 6 months, and then I went to Costa Rica and Guatemala, and I missed Playa. So I went back there, and I've just spent this whole year there, and creating that. It just made sense to create tours in those areas that I've been, because I used to be a tour guide as well. So I was a tour guide around.
Are you still with me? I lost you, Ainsley. I lost you again. I heard you for a moment and then lost you again.
That's right. What did you miss?
Oh, I forgot where we were. I mean, I was listening, but then what I started doing was paying attention to the time so I could go back and edit out where we broke off. Let's just kind of resume it. I'm going to resume it at, let's see, 12. I'll just start with a new question.
The tours?
So when do you plan to do your first Adventure Fest tour that people can sign up for and say, I think it looks like the Mexico and Guatemala is the one you want to do first?
There's actually going to be a Costa Rica one in June. I haven't created the page for that, but Mexico and Guatemala will happen in August.
Got it. And have you had anybody sign up yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't released it. I've been putting feelers out, and I'm building my community, getting people really used to what I do and familiar with what I do. And so I've put feelers out. People are interested, but I haven't released the dates yet. So I'm building the interest at the moment.
So how are you building your community on the internet?
So I spend a lot of time in Facebook groups or on Twitter talking to people, and I just spend a lot of time with one person and another person and another person. So I'm more into building deep level relationships, and then just getting people really into what I do, building that community. And because you get to know those people, and I want to have people that I like on my tours as well as they like me, and build a great relationship before they come. And so it's nice and easy. But so I do that through Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit. What else is there? Facebook. And then also I use my list as well.
So you also have online courses. Those I imagine help you build your community. How did you get into doing online courses? I know you said you did a lot of studying for a number of years there where you were doing courses on the internet and stuff, but how did you really kind of knuckle down and get your courses done and online?
Well, I mean, because I'm a teacher by trade or trainer, I know how to write them. And I love teaching. Like, I love it. And so it just sort of seemed like a natural progression to do that. And I've had mentors that taught me how to do that. I've done a lot of courses, learned a lot about copywriting, and I've even had people hire me to do copywriting for them. And so, yeah, it just seems like it's easy. It's an easy way to leverage your business. So my goal, or what I'm actually doing now, is I create the course. Here's a cheeky little strategy to share with your listeners. But I create the course, and it's just an audio course with worksheets. The audios I send to get transcribed, and then it comes back to me. I edit it. I turn it into an Amazon book, and then I also will do like an audio book for Audible. And there's calls to action in each of those. So at the end of each chapter, there's a call to action to buy the course. So if they didn't buy the course the first time when I've put it out, then if they buy the book or get the Audible book, the audio book, then there's calls to action to send them to buy the course again.
Now, I saw with your online courses, it looks to me like you have 4 of them.
Yes.
You have Find Your Happy, which is a 30-day plan to turn the frown upside down. And I love that. I love that whole thing. Money Monster, a biz plan to start making money online. Another one that is discover and identify life's work in 4 days. And the final one, the life rebalance and alignment method, clarify, align, and achieve your goal through psychology. Which one of those is the one that you find to be the most popular with your crowd? What are they looking to do here?
Definitely life rebalance. It's I've got, like, my whole framework is based on six principles, or not principles, but 6 steps to success based on what I've learned in my own experience. And so that's got that in there. But I also talk about energy and how your energy and the way you think and feeling positive will align you with what you want. So I use a lot of law of attraction, quantum physics, NLP, psychology, neuroscience in there, as well as those success principles to help people get in the right mindset, get really clear about what their goals are, and then show them the path to take to get them.
Interesting. And how about the Find Your Happy? Do you have a lot of people doing the Find Your Happy? I think that sounds awesome. 30-day plan. So do you have a lot of people doing the Find Your Happy? And how do what can they expect in 30 days? I mean, are they getting an email on a daily basis with tips on what to do? Yeah.
So they get an audio every day, a video every day, and then a task every day. And so it's brain training. It's teaching them self-awareness, mindfulness, and how to slow down and really get into their own bodies instead of worrying about what's going on outside. And so one of my strongest, or life mottos, I guess, is that you've got to blame yourself first, or own your shit. And so when you take personal responsibility for everything that happens to you and how you deal with it, then you're empowered to fix it. And, you can't, if you get hit by a bus, that's not your fault. That's obviously the bus driver's fault. But it's about, you were there, you put yourself there, through no fault of your own, but by choices that you made, and how you deal with the aftermath of that, if you survive, is you have the power with that. And so this is something that I had to learn. And when I started my own journey, this was one of the most powerful lessons I ever got, was blaming myself first for anything. So if there's conflict with someone else, I go, okay, what did I do? How have I contributed to that? And not in a way where you're, sucking down 4 bottles of Jack Daniels a night and crying and singing 80s love songs, and feeling sorry for yourself. It's about taking your power and going, well, what did I do to create that situation, and how can I fix that? And that's just one of the most powerful lessons I've ever had, was doing that. And so I teach that in all of my stuff, like everything. Now,
you had a revelation when I think you gave a cigarette to a man you've met at a train depot, I think.
Yeah, it was actually at the front of a club. So back when I was taking a lot of drugs and I'd been out clubbing all weekend, and there was a homeless man sitting out the front of the club in the gutter, and I sat down next to him and offered him a cigarette, and we're just chatting about, whatever. And I said, like, because he had prosthetic legs and they were sitting beside him. And I said, what happened? And he said he fell, someone bumped into him at the train station, and he fell between the platform and the train and lost both his legs. And I still feel emotional when I talk about it. But and he burst into tears, and it happened 20 years ago. I mean, that was 10, 12 years ago now, so 32 years ago. So I don't know where he is now. But anyway, and, his kids were left, his wife left, he lost his job, he lost everything to the point where he was homeless. And, because I was I'd started my own journey of understanding, it made me realize that, you've got, and I know this, I hate to come across like insensitive or harsh, but this is the reality of it. You can either become a Paralympian, and just fight against adversity to win in life, or 20 years later you could be homeless. And it all comes down to the choices that you make. And if you're not allowing yourself to find the resources, or if you're not looking for the resources to help you climb out of that hole, then you're going to stay in it, because a lot of people sit waiting to be rescued. And the problem with waiting to be rescued is that you're always going to have people trying to rescue you, and you're always going to hit their hands away, because it works for you to stay in that state on some level. It's miserable and it doesn't feel great, but that's what it does. And so if you're spending this time blaming the world for your situation and making yourself a victim of it, then you will always stay where you are. And so if you relate that to work, like jobs, in your job, if you're blaming your boss or your coworker for being a brown noser, or if you're blaming the phone company because of your phone bills, if you're constantly going around blaming everybody else outside of you, then you have no power. And and you'll always stay stuck and unhappy, because you're looking outside of yourself for that fix, and you'll never get it. It all starts in your head, and your reality is created by your thoughts and your perception and things that have happened in your life. And so you have to take the bull by the horns and just go for it. Like just really take action on doing the things that you want to do in your life, because no one else is going to rescue you.
Absolutely. Well, it's obvious that you are, you've got a lot going on, and you've gained a lot of knowledge over the years. But I was kind of struck and I am also hearing from you personally in this podcast and learning more about you, that one thing that really popped out at me when I was preparing for the podcast and does some more now is you have a blog post called "I Was a Meth Head and How Hitting Rock Bottom Became My Best Teacher." Now, you've had a lot of teachers. Yeah. You've done a lot of training. You've gained a lot of education. So I thought that was pretty powerful, that hitting rock bottom kind of trumped all the other things that you've done as far as learning your lesson or having, your best teacher. Can you kind of explain that and elaborate on that some?
Pain is your biggest motivator. And so this is how I do a lot of my habit changing in myself. Like, I work on my personal development for at least 2 hours a day. Usually I get up at sort of 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, and that's the first thing I do. And so for people, and also working with clients over those many years, and students, all of them, and all of my own experiences, seeing friends, family, all of it, everyone around me, seeing them go through change is when they get to the point where they've had a gutful of themselves, when they're just so sick of themselves and the problem that they're like, enough. And that acts as a propeller to move them forward. And it's more because we are always trying to move away from pain. And so when you go into the pain and really feel yourself feeling it will change you. Like, one of the pivotal moment for me in terms of turning my business around, because I was fighting with myself. Like, my own writing was a big block for me. Like, I love to write, but I was second guessing what I was writing and this and this. And so that's been one of my biggest blocks, biggest battles. And I was in Mexico, and I was house sitting, because I've been doing pet and house sitting for the last 2 years. And I went into the bathroom. I started to get upset because I was thinking, this is just not working. Like, everything I've tried is failing. Why is it failing? What am I doing wrong? And I knew it was me. Like, I knew it was me, but I couldn't get out of my own way. And so I just stood in front of the mirror and absolutely abused the crap out of myself, because I needed to feel at the cellular level so much pain that I would never want to feel that way again. Now, I don't look, if you suffer from depression or anxiety or some kind of mental illness, I don't recommend you do this. But it's something that's just so powerful to do. It's like you've got an abusive partner, and I was just swearing at myself. I was crying. I was telling myself off. I had no idea what the neighbors were thinking, but I needed to do that. I needed to really hurt myself emotionally so that I could get out of the hole I was in. And so I did. And that was the beginning of the huge turnaround, where I was more consistent in my work. I wasn't being a whiny little bitch with my writing. I was just getting it done, regardless of how it came out. And, it is, like, I see it with everybody and everyone I work with. I make them go to the pain first, because they have to. Like, they have to go to the pain first. They have to really honestly have a look at themselves and get, like, super brutal. Because once they do that, and once they own that they're completely in charge of how they're feeling and how their situation is and how their life is, then they can change it. But while they're a victim, they're sitting around waiting to be rescued. So, yeah.
So, do you find that some of your clients have similar backgrounds? Are those people finding you?
Definitely. I'm in a lot of depression groups, which it's a double-edged sword, because I don't really like engaging in those sorts of groups because they're enabling. I just don't like them. But I do find people that want to change, and so there's a lot of people in those groups that don't want to change because it works for them on some level, or they haven't felt enough pain to change. So I get a lot of those people, but I also get a lot of people who aren't in a lot of pain, but maybe they've quit their job and they're just at a crossroads, and I've got sort of 3 different stages that people are at, whether it's like really rock bottom and they've had enough, or they've just made some decisions, they've come out of a relationship, or they've quit a job or whatever, and they need a direction, or they've got the direction and they just need someone to help them, like, map out the path and walk along it. So yeah, I get people from different and also it's about, like, my 2 main goals there is to find out if they're looking for freedom, which is a strategy, and how to get that freedom, or they need empowerment, which is the mindset stuff.
And you've done both personally.
Yes, very much so.
So I did see that you have a brand new book. If the date is correct, it was like 2 or 3 days ago that you released a book on Amazon.
Yes, my first baby.
Tell us about your new book.
Action Taker, Dream Creator. So this is based on those 6 steps that I was talking about, and my journey and in figuring out what it takes, because I found that through my entrepreneurial journey, someone would be telling you you've got to have the right strategy, and then someone would say you've got to have the right mindset, and then it was law of attraction, and you've got to focus on law of attraction, and then you've got to do this, and so I'd get so immersed in one area, like strategy, and then it wouldn't work. And then I realized that I just didn't have the right mindset. So I'd focus on mindset, and then I'd try again and it wouldn't work. And then I spent a lot of time doing law of attraction stuff, and a lot of that was like sit there and visualize, and that didn't work. I was sitting there, you know, I was hugging trees and having nice days off and relaxing, but nothing was happening. And so I just sort of got jack of all of it and thought, this is insane. You've got all these people really lost with what they're doing, because everyone's telling them that their way is the right way, when people just need a framework to know, okay, well, what do I need to do? And so the 6 steps, first of all, is getting clarity around what it is, like writing out, as Frank Kern says, write out your perfect day. And once you have clarity around exactly what lifestyle you want and what kind of work you want to do, then you go to mindset. So the mindset is number 2. And that is overcoming those yeah buts in your head. Like, I want to be a millionaire. Yeah, but you've got no money. Or yeah, but you've got no qualifications. Or yeah, but. It's overcoming those mental obstacles that we put in the way of ourselves. And you always come back to that one. The next step is intention. And having now you have a clear goal, speaking in terms like it's absolutely going to happen. So working really strongly on your thinking and your language, and becoming more definite in your approach towards it. So eliminating the some days and the maybes and the I wishes, and replacing it with it is happening. This is definitely going to happen. I will do that. I'm doing that right now. When you change that language, it changes your mindset, and then it changes your outward behavior. And then the next step is education. So that's filling your learning gaps. Like, what do you suck at? What do you need to learn to improve those skills? So if you want a new relationship, for example, then what courses do you need to learn to attract the right person? What mentors do you need, or what couples who are successful in relationships? What can you learn from them? Who can you model? Because you know that's a huge one. In people think that they're a failure because they try something once, but they don't realize that it's just a lack of skills that's the problem. I mean, mindset as well, but they need to learn the right skills. Then the next step is systemization. So that's going, okay, what do I need to do every single day? And not overcomplicating it. Just like, again, if you want to meet the right person, what are some things I can do every single day? Connect with a couple of people in your town on Facebook. Have some conversations. Just build a relationship on there. Have some chats. Or get on a dating site. Go on dates. Get on Tinder. Whatever. Just to have, like, you've got to build momentum for things to start to happen. And that's the problem with a lot of what I found in law of attraction in particular, in what I've learned from other people, is that you can't get results if you've got no momentum. Like, you've got to pedal the bike first. It's physics. You've got to pedal the bike. And so if you're not pedaling the bike, then sure, things can happen. I'm not saying that they don't. Things do happen. Like, people can win $1 million if they think it, and that sort of thing. But in reality, it's not that magic. It's basically comes down to you've got to build your foundation in order for your dreams to come true, whatever they are. And so having daily systems in place, and yeah, 2 activities a day or 3 activities a day, depending on how much time you've got. Then the last one is action. So it's actually doing those things, and sustaining that habit. So in that book, it's all about that.
Well, that's awesome. And I agree with you completely. I love you've got to pedal the bike before anything happens, or, you know, like you said, some things can happen if you're not pedaling the bike, but it's rare. It's like winning the lottery. You have to be pedaling the bike to get momentum and get somewhere. And that's absolutely true. It sounds like a great book. How long did it take you to write it? Folks on YouTube, we lost the call. We were having kind of a tricky signal today. Hey there. I've got YouTube still. Are we there?
Yep.
Okay. I had a question a minute ago, and you could just, once I unpause it, you could answer it. But my question was, how long did it take you to write your book? So let me get that going again, and you can just go ahead and answer that. Okay, we're live again. Are you there?
Yep.
Okay. So how long did it take you to write your book?
Well, it was actually, look, I can't say that I wrote it because I wanted to cut down the process, like, leverage it more so. So I create the audio course first. And so all of the books that I'm now creating are coming from all of my courses. So I do the course, and then I send the audios off to get transcribed, and then it comes back to me. I edit it, and then release it as a book, and then I do the audios as an audio book as well. And so they're my marketing material. So I'm not going to make millions off them or anything like that.
Sure.
But yeah, they're my words, but someone else transcribes them.
So you've got 3 other books that I saw: Goal Set for Life, and then 2 on bullying: the Bullying Handbook for Adults, and Bully Buster: How Do You Stop Your Child from Being Bullied?
Oh my God, they're so old.
They're old, huh? Okay. You know what I think is interesting is that your class, particularly your 21-day excursion, is for 40-somethings who are single, who don't have children, who are stuck or whatever. And then you've got bully books for people who are presumably married, maybe not, but who have children. So you've you've got everybody. You've got married people, you've got single people, you've got people with kids, people without, and you've got a wide group of people that you're catering to over the years.
Yeah, over the years, not now. It was the bullying thing came up because I was actually doing corporate, in my first business, like I was doing date coaching, and then I went into the training. And so I was creating my own training courses, and it started as corporate, like how to deal with bullying in the workplace. Because communication and relationships is one of my biggest fortes. And so I did that, and then I thought I could actually do this for kids, like for parents, to help them with their kids as well. And so I did, and I went to a couple of schools just around my hometown, and did some classes for the parents to help them with their kids. And yeah, it was great. It was really good fun, and it was more so empowering the mums, because when you empower the mums, then they can empower their kids. And so I wasn't even working with the kids at all. I was working with mums and empowering them, so that it was a trickle down effect to their kids. So yeah, that's how that kind of evolved. But I'm not a parent, and so it's something that I don't really go near, because I'm definitely not an expert on parenting by any stretch. But I do know a lot about communication and how the relationship dynamics work. So
sure. Yeah. So if people are interested in finding out about you, and I think you've got a, what is your group is called? What's your Facebook group called? The Escape Army? Yeah, the Escape Army. Tell us a little bit about the Escape Army before we close it down. What is the Escape Army?
Well, I'm building the community, and that's what I wanted to call it, because it's about a community of like-minded people who do want to escape, to get away to great places, and not even necessarily to go somewhere, but escape their current mindset or their current situation. and yeah, just create the life that they want.
So they can find you on Facebook just by simply searching for the Escape Army.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So where
I
else?
also accept friend requests as well.
And where else do you, if people that are listening to this broadcast want to reach out and follow you where you broadcast, what social media do you use and what is your website?
So I predominantly use Facebook. I'm very much about being a completely open book, so people can send me a friend request, and I check it out to see that you're not going to try and sell me makeup or knife sets. And yeah, I just build close relationships with people, and so I do a lot of my stuff on Facebook, but I also use Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, YouTube. I've been a little bit slack with, but yeah, there's a lot of others as well that I'm slowly evolving into. It's just getting these other foundational things sorted, and then I worry about the other stuff. But my website is just ainsleym.com. So that's AINSLEYM for Michael, Micallef, .com.
Well, it sounds awesome, and I really appreciate you being with us. And I think that your business sounds, I love the excursions. That sounds very exciting. Of course, I'm married with children, so I'm even though you said you don't turn anybody away, I'm not quite who you're looking for, but they sound like fun. I mean, the places that you're taking people are going to be awesome.
Definitely.
And relaxing, and it looks like a great time, and I wish you the best with it. And I appreciate you being a guest on our program today.
Brilliant. Thank you, Todd.
Listen, folks, Ainsley told you where you can find her. You can find me at divorcetheworkforce.com or Todd.LIVE, which currently forwards to divorcetheworkforce.com. It soon will be its own website. And in the meantime, just keep working hard and stay productive. Take care, folks.